Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Riverfront. This is episode number 402 of the world's most dangerous podcast. I'm your host, Chad Dotson. With me this week, your friend and mine, a cotton-headed ninny muggins, Nate Dotson. How are you today, Nate?
Dude, listen, I will have you know that I passed through the 7 levels of the Candy Cane Forest, through the sea of the swirly, twirly gumdrops, and then I walked across the John A. Roebling Bridge just to be here today to get this slander. As soon as we turn on the cameras, the slander I won't stand for.
I do have to apologize, although the fact is you are a cotton-headed ninny muggins, and truth is the defense. But so anyway, that's a little hint of where we're going here in this podcast and in this episode. And of course, if you read the title of the episode already, you know where we're going. But it's the off season. There's not a lot of Reds news necessary. There's some. We're going to get to it here in just a little bit, as we do every single week here at the Riverfront. But this off season, with the players being locked out by the owners, and so not a lot of transactions, not a lot of news, we thought, we got to come up with some different perspectives, some different topics for the podcast. And my man Nate here came up with a beautiful one, and I'm gonna let you go ahead and kind of lead into explain where this idea came from.
The off season can get a little boring at the best of times. We didn't have any winter meetings because of this darn lockout. So we tried to figure out how to have a little fun, how to give us an excuse to still hang out for an hour a week. And we decided to come up with a little bit of a gimmick. So today's episode is just the 2021 Cincinnati Reds in Elf quotes. It's the holiday season. We're just trying to have a little fun.
Elf? What is that, like a movie or something? I never heard of it.
Unfunny fact, I used to work at a video store in high school, Movie Star as it was called. I refused to sit down and watch Elf for years.
What?
When it first came out on DVD, remember back when DVDs existed, this movie store played it on loop from October to January.
That sounds like the best job ever.
It was a constant part of my life. And I just forever. I drew a hard line. But I finally sat down, and my life has been forever improved.
I would think so. Elf. If you haven't seen Elf, of course, it is a motion picture. Nate, do you like the motion pictures?
They move these days. It's crazy.
They do. Elf was a 2003 motion picture directed by Jon Favreau, starring I can't remember everybody. I know it had James Caan and Bob Newhart and Zooey Deschanel and Mary Steenburgen and Peter Dinklage. I can't remember who else it might have had in that movie. Was there anyone else in the movie?
As impressed as I am with your pronunciation of Zooey Deschanel, I had to ask my fiance how to say that word. The immortal Will Ferrell.
Oh, yeah, Will Ferrell, right.
You may have heard of him.
So, again, this is not Reds related, but it kind of is because Will Ferrell played in a spring training inning or two with the Reds once upon a time. Is Will Ferrell the funniest man of the last 20 years? What do you think?
I think that's pretty fair claim.
He's up there. I rewatched Old School recently, and whew, it's funny. That's a funny movie. But if you're sensitive, you might need to use your earmuffs on when you watch that. It's got some.
Nailed it.
See what I did there? You see how? Anyway, so Elf. Yeah, Elf's a funny movie. It's kind of become a holiday classic around this time of year. And so, if you've not seen Elf, what are you waiting for? It's amazing. It is Will Ferrell playing an, I guess, if we wanted to use proper grammar, an elf. Now, how can Will Ferrell be an elf? I don't understand. Maybe you can just explain how that works.
I'm no scientist, but apparently when you get put up for adoption, there is potential for elves to acquire you.
Ah, okay. All right. So anyway, you should go watch the movie. But Nate thought, let's try to kind of describe the Cincinnati Reds using only quotes from the movie Elf. And there's a billion great quotes from the movie Elf. So that's what we're going to do. If you don't want this, just, I don't know, fast forward a little while. We'll get to the Reds talk later and some viewer mail. But this is all Reds talk, but we'll get to current Reds news such as it is later. But we just thought this would be fun. And Nate, so this was your idea. I'm going to let you start through this sea of twirly, swirly gumdrops and hit us with the first Elf quote.
All right. My first quote was from Buddy the Elf, as most of these are. Will Ferrell's character. It was, "I just like to smile. Smile is my favorite." I'm going to dedicate this quote to our beloved Jonathan India. The guy was all smiles all season long. He brought smiles to the fans, his energy, his attitude. It really just sort of put a stamp on this Cincinnati Reds season. And I think he's the perfect representation for Smiling's his favorite.
Yeah, every time you see Jonathan Indy now, you got to think Smiling's my favorite. Not just because he made us smile all season, which he did, but yeah, that guy's just always having fun out there. And you know, again, we constantly are talking about reasons to be optimistic and reasons to want to kind of stay tuned with this team. Man, he's one of them. He just is. He's just Jonathan Indy is my favorite, along with Smiling.
Also, happy birthday to Jonathan Indy.
Oh, really?
The
17 years old. How old is he? Do we know? 17, 18?
He can vote.
I think that's how that works. All right, so that's a good one. Yes, I just like to smile. Smiling's my favorite. Okay, so now the next elf quote. So, good news. I saw a dog today. Again, maybe you have to watch the movie to understand some of these. But again, if you've not seen the movie, what are you doing? But so good news.
The podcast right now. Go watch the movie. Come back to the podcast.
Yes, that's actually a great idea. I'm afraid if anybody leaves the podcast, they're not coming back after listening to this nonsense, though. But that's good advice. So anyway, this one we got to dedicate to. This was again a quote from Buddy the Elf. Good news. I saw a dog today. Oh, he's so pure in the movie. So this one has to go out to really every Reds fan because, you know, not been a lot of good news, obviously, of late. But, you know, dogs are awesome. So, you know, go Reds fans. There's another one maybe that I would add in here as well that you came up with some of these quotes, and I found one that I think goes along with this one, which is Buddy saying, does somebody need a hug? Yeah, that's Reds fans, right? We're enduring some bad times, but we're trying to have some fun with it, clearly, as we're showing here.
There are plenty of times when I'm out for a daily walk and I'm just thinking about the Reds, and it's not great. It's not a great place to be early in the morning. But you look over and you see a golden retriever just yipping away, and you know what? I saw a dog today. Good boy.
Everything's okay with the world. Oh, mercy. All right. So what do you got next, Nate? You got another one for us?
Next up is probably my favorite quote. It says, "Not now, Arctic Puffin."
Does it say that behind you up there? I'm looking at the screen.
Yes, it does say that. This goes out to no one. I just thought it was hysterical, and I had to include it.
See, we're already getting off the rails here, Nate. Come on. That's not Reds related.
I didn't remember the quote from the movie. I went and did my research and saw it, and it makes no more sense now that I have seen it, but I'm sorry. It made me laugh, and that's the benefit of getting to host a podcast. You can
exactly.
You laugh sometimes.
Not now, Arctic Puffin. Okay, so here, now listen, Nate, this you came up with this one, and you also made the suggestion as who we should dedicate this quote to, and it's the most perfect one of all of these, I gotta say, and I'm glad that I get to do it. I'm sorry you don't get to do this one, but here's the quote. It's from Buddy the Elf once again. I'm sorry I ruined your lives and crammed 11 cookies into the VCR. I'm sorry I ruined your lives and crammed 11 cookies in the VCR. Now go ahead and tell all our viewers who we're going to dedicate that one to.
This is going to make the most sense to members of the Riverfront community, but this is Kyle Farmer. The guy showed up every day, played his tail off. All he wanted to do was win and contribute, and Reds fans just raked him over the coals. So I can just see Kyle Farmer just reading the tweets, and I highly recommend do not read the tweets, but
yeah, don't do that.
Just stepping back, going, "Sorry guys, I'm sorry I ruined your life. I turned 11 cookies into your VCR."
He played hard. He didn't really jam any cookies into my VCR. He was perfectly cromulent, and we gave him a hard time. So sorry, Kyle. For how about this, Kyle Farmer? You can cram 11 cookies into my VCR anytime you want. I don't know. What you got next, Nate?
Next up, I have one from Mr. Narwhal, who you may not have realized was a character. It says, "Bye, buddy. I hope you find your dad."
Bye, buddy. I hope you find your dad.
This is such dedicated this to Nick Castellanos, Wade Miley, Alex Blandino. Maybe we want to kick it back a little bit and include Raziel Iglesias and Archie Bradley. This goes out to all the departed Reds, the ones that are going to go and find greener pastures. And, we can't really blame you for leaving if it was your choice. If it wasn't, probably made all the sense in the world for us to keep you, and we shipped you off anyway. So we hope you find your dad.
Bye, buddy. Nate, this is something I thought when I saw this, which is that what's your perspective on former Reds when they go to another team? Are you still all in on them? Because I cheer for, I think, every single former Red that goes elsewhere for whatever reason they go elsewhere. I can't think of one that I really don't at least look fondly upon. And what's your perspective?
I agree completely. It also just seems like every time they leave, they go and do amazing things, a la Adam Duvall. Somebody's going to go have a great career elsewhere. But yeah, it's you want the best for them. I don't envy the players that end up in the Reds organization for a long time.
Yeah, Adam Duvall's a good, really is a good, one to discuss here because, man, in the World Series, I was cheering for that guy. I wanted him to get a ring. Good for him. That's former Reds All-Star Adam Duvall to you. I hope he finds his dad. Next question. Next quote from the feature film Elf comes from Jovi. Jovi's the character played by Zooey Deschanel. Here's her quote: "I'm just trying to get through the holidays." Yeah, that's not just to Reds fans, frankly. We're going to have to expand that to all of Major League Baseball. I'm just trying to get through the holidays. We're locked out. Maybe we'll get some baseball at some point. There's some discussion in the Slack channel today about, is it going to be before spring training starts? When are they going to agree? Because it doesn't look like the owners and players are even going to talk till the new year starts. So we just got to get through these holidays, right, Jovi?
There's reason for optimism after the holidays.
You mind if I start calling you Jovi on this show?
You've called me worse. I'll take Jovi.
It's actually true. What you got next?
Next up, I was surprised how appropriate this one was. I was pumped when I heard it. This is from Papa Elf in the intro to the feature film.
Can we say Papa Elf, played by the legendary comic actor and stand-up comedian Bob Newhart?
Legendary Bob Newhart, probably most known for his role as Papa Elf, but
probably, yeah. I can't think of anything else he's known for, but yeah.
The quote is: "Some call it the show or the big dance. It's the profession that every elf aspires to, and that is to build toys in Santa's workshop." This one goes out to the Young Bucks. This goes out to Hunter Green and Jose Barrero. They're just trying to build some toys. Can't we bring them up to the show, to the big dance? Let them build some toys in Cincinnati.
Yeah, let's get these guys up to Santa's workshop.
All they want to do.
Make some toys. Don't we all want to make some toys? Hunter Green making an Etch-a-Sketch over here. I don't know what Jose Barrero's making over there. I don't know. Whatever he wants to make. Come on. He can do whatever he wants. Yeah. Oh, what? Let me see that mug you got there, Nate. What is that?
See that?
Ooh, sharp.
Riverfront coffee mug or beer mug, as the case may be.
Soon to be available widely. Yeah. So some call it the show or the big dance. It's the profession that every elf aspires to. So we hope those elves, Hunter and Jose and all the other young guys, just let them get up here and build some toys because I want to see
a lot of elves, a lot of talented elves,
a lot of talented elves that are being kept down on the. Where do you think the AAA minor league team is for the North Pole? What do you think? Is it Alaska? Is it going to be like Nova Scotia somewhere?
I'm going to say it's probably somewhere by our buddy Joey Gaditza in Canada.
Ooh, wait a minute. You think he's actually on the Santa's AAA team up there? Oh, I hope he gets the call. Make a couple of Etch-a-Sketches up there, because that's the only toy I can think of right now. Because I was, the last time I got a Christmas gift was 1976 or something, evidently. So I've been a naughty boy. Okay, the next quote comes from Santa. All right, finally the big guns coming in, right? Santa. This is Santa Claus. This quote is: "Christmas spirit is about believing, not seeing." Right? Christmas spirit is about believing, not seeing. This one could have been said not by Santa, but by Nick Kroll right around the trade deadline. We're believing that things are going to happen. We're relaxing a little bit, but it's not about doing or seeing. It's about believing that good things are going to happen.
This one was too funny for me. You don't actually see the roster Look at who's on it. Just believe that people are going to get better from their injuries and they're going to start pitching better.
Oh, around the trade deadline, we have to start call Nick Krall. Just not even mention it again. But every time we mention Nick Krall, instead of saying Nick Krall around the trade deadline this summer, we're just going to say Santa Claus and see if people can figure out who we're talking about. Because, he'll have that trade deadline spirit.
I support this.
Yeah. We won't have any viewers by then anyway, so it won't matter. We'll be here by ourselves. You got another one for us?
Yeah, next up, this will be no surprise to our regular viewers and listeners. I think you're really beautiful, and I feel really warm when I'm around you, and my tongue swells up. This one was from Buddy to Jovi, Zoe Deschanel's character. But we are going to dedicate this quote to Joseph Daniel Votto because he deserves no small amount of praise, every bit that we give him. And Joey, if you're listening, you're beautiful, and I feel really warm because you're around. My tongue probably doesn't swell up, but I do feel very warm.
Oh, Joey.
We love you.
Oh, wait a minute. Joey's from Canada.
Ooh. He's been in on it all along.
He's been in on the scheme all along. Oh, I love you, Joey. All right. Let's see. We got 3 or 4 more here, but there's one that I want to do before we get out of here, or before we get into our finale, and that's this one. And the quote is from Buddy the Elf, and it's, "You smell like beef and cheese." You smell like beef and cheese. And I was trying to think, because that's one of my favorite quotes when he says that in the movie. He's talking to a department store Santa. Spoiler alert, I guess, for a movie that came out 18 years ago. But you smell like beef and cheese. And so I thought, and we're trying to kind of talk about the 2021 Reds, and I couldn't really come up with anyone that I thought that applied to. So I started thinking, well, what about Reds in recent memory? Who would that quote apply to it? And the name that popped in my head for one reason or another, and I guess maybe you already thought of this, was Johnny Gomes. Remember the immortal Johnny Gomes from the 2010 Reds? He always seemed like he smelled like beef and cheese. I don't know, maybe not. Anyone else you could think of?
No, we were doing the show notes, and I was trying to that was one of the first quotes I found. I was like, I gotta find a way to use this quote, and I couldn't. I scrapped it. And then showed up at the 11th hour with the perfect Gomes reference. And
we couldn't skip that quote, so I had to toss it in there. And so I don't know. Johnny Gum's the best I come up with. I expect that everyone on Twitter. I want you to tell us who in Reds history smells the most like beef and cheese.
On that note, we have one more quote before the home stretch, sort of, that didn't involve the Reds, but still is too good to pass up. Is this place reminds me of Santa's workshop, except it smells like mushrooms, and everyone looks like they want to hurt me. Chad had the great idea to dedicate this to Busch Stadium.
That's right. That's where the Cardinals play. It reminds me of Santa's workshop, except it smells like mushrooms, and everyone looks like they want to hurt me. Love it.
Mushrooms.
Okay. Anyway, there's one that I really wanted to add in here, and I don't know. I couldn't figure out exactly where to do it. And so again, along with who smells like beef and cheese, at Riverfront Cincy, at Dotson C, at NC Dotson 32, I think. I want you to tweet at us and tell us who fits that beef and cheese quote, and also this one, okay? Because I couldn't come up with anyone. And here's the quote from Buddy. He's an angry elf. He's an angry elf. So I want to know who that I couldn't come up with. We couldn't come up with anyone that really fits. So I want to hear who. Unless you've come up with someone on the fly here, Nate.
No, I'm afraid of offending people. So Twitter's not.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. Let's go to our home stretch here. I'll take the next one.
Do it.
Here's the quote from Santa once again. That's another thing, buddy. You should know that your father, he's on the naughty list. And yes, this one goes out to Phil Castellini. Phil Castellini. Yes, sorry, Phil. Your father, he's on the naughty list. And I think the next quote kind of similar vibes, right?
Feeds right in. This could be why he is on the naughty list. But the next quote also from Buddy, you sit on a throne of lies. Because for some reason, Bobby C, he likes to pretend that he's not a billionaire and doesn't have money. He's on a throne of lies.
Bob Castellini sits on a throne of lies.
And that's why you're on the naughty list.
I love it. I absolutely love it. All right. So I guess in the same spirit as this, our next to last quote. And this one comes again from Santa. I'm getting all the Santa quotes, which makes me feel pretty good since, you know.
It's fitting.
Yeah. Wait, why is that fitting? What you're saying, man. Here's a guess. Listen, some people, they just lose sight of what's important in life. That doesn't mean they can't find their way again, huh? Maybe all they need is just a little Christmas spirit. Yeah, some people lose sight of what's important. That doesn't mean they can't find their way again. Maybe all they need is just a little Christmas spirit. That has to go out to, our guy, Bob Castellini, Bobby C. You know, maybe if we all get together there at Great American Ballpark and sing some Christmas carols, maybe Castellini will get in the spirit. Spend some of that vegetable money he's got laying around, right? Just because he's been the same guy that we've gotten to know, that doesn't mean he can't find his way again, right?
Riverfront meetup. Well, that's Fountain Square. We'll lock arms and take Christmas carols. I mean, see if it works. Does he live in Cincinnati? Can we confirm that? He needs to be able to hear us.
Well, the question is whether he actually goes into the office. I'm sure when it's cold, I know he has at least 2. Well, he sold one of his vacation homes, so I'm not sure how many vacation homes he has now. So I'm sure he's at warmer climes right now. But whatever, it'll still make us feel better. All right, finish this off, Nate. What's the elf quote, the final elf quote that will kind of wrap this up and that we can use to describe this, kind of malaise that we share as being Reds fans?
This one goes out to everyone out there listening or watching today, to the entire Riverfront family. It's just nice to meet another human who shares my affinity for elf culture. So thank you to you, bunch of maniacs who go through this mess of Reds fandom with us. And, we suffer, but we keep the Christmas spirit alive. We'll get through it together. Yeah,
I really am glad that I found this family here that shares our affinity for elf culture. So anyway, there we go. That's our dumb. This podcast is just getting dumber and dumber by the second. It's about 402 episodes. This might need to be the last one. I don't know. This might be the low point, or maybe the high point. I don't know. No, that was fun, Nate. It was a great idea. And, if you got dumb ideas like that as well, you can send them to us either on our Slack channel if you're a Patreon subscriber, patreon.com/RiverfrontCincy, or at Twitter, or heck, we're on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. At YouTube now, we're at Riverfront Cincy everywhere. Yeah, go subscribe and do whatever you want. I don't do this stuff. The YouTubes. I don't understand what the kids do with these things.
Ask the kids, they'll tell you.
Oh, okay, I will. I'll go do that. I'll be back. No. Okay, so let's get into some actual Reds news here, and then we'll dive into some viewer mail. So there's really not a lot this week, and we didn't expect there to be a lot, and so that's why we've been trying to think of some things to do this offseason. Kind of like back, when the season was canceled in 2020, we had to kind of figure out what to do when there were no games, nothing to talk about, and we kept this show going every single week. We dropped that Building the Machine series, so we're trying.
We'll be here for better or worse.
Yeah. You may not like anything that we're doing, but we're talking into the void no matter what. So let's talk a little bit about what we did get this week. And again, not a lot. We had, well, actually, I'll ask you about this. There was kind of a strange report at MLB Trade Rumors. That is where we both saw it, but about Reds' first round pick from a couple years ago, Nick Lodolo, the lefty pitcher that was in AAA this past year. Well, can you just kind of tell us what that was?
I don't know. I think the tone of the little blur was supposed to be encouraging, saying he's healthy and he's going to be ready to start the season. But I read the quote, and I think we might need to be worried that Nick Lodolo is in like a hostage situation.
Can you read that quote to us? It was the most bizarre thing.
The direct quote was, who was it? Bob Nightingale of the Cincinnati Enquirer was the one who dropped it and said that Sean Pender, Reds farm director, said that Lodolo said, "Gosh, I feel great. I guess all that strength and conditioning helped me, and the time off. I really feel up to the task of coming back ready to go." Who talks like that?
Yeah, I mean, again, it wasn't a direct quote from Nick Lodolo. It was a quote. It was like secondhand to
Oh,
Bobby
gosh.
Nightingale from Sean Pender, again, Reds farm director. He reached out to Lodolo about 2 weeks ago just to check in, say hello, and how you doing? He says, gosh, I feel great. First of all, what is this? Is Nick Lodolo straight off the set of Leave It to Beaver? Golly gee, Wally. I feel neat.
Game.
Oh, I guess all that strength and conditioning helped me in that time off. I feel really up to the task of coming back ready to go. So that's all been positive. Get at it.
Writing his responses.
Yeah, really. Oh man, someone is even worse at talking than Nick Lodolo. Than Nick Kroll or Santa Claus, as we know him around these parts. Yikes! But the news was that Lodolo appears to be healthy, and he struggled. It started with blisters, and then just never really was fully healthy the rest of the year. Sounds like everything's good, and what's that going to mean if the season starts on time? Is he going to be with the Reds? I don't think so, unless there are some injuries. But and we kind of talked about that last week, but so no need to really to re-engage on that. But Nick Lodolo being healthy is better than the alternative, right?
Yeah, he's one of those guys I'm sneaky optimistic about. I think that he could be sort of a, I don't know, like a boost for the team. He could come in and, because he's got the potential. He's shown the flash, healthy and can contribute. The pitching staff has a chance to be really, really good despite losing some obviously valuable pieces. I think he's one of those reasons for my optimism. Yeah, I mean, a team that's really trying to put a contender on the field does not just hand away Wade Miley to a division rival for free. It just doesn't happen. I mean, there's no way to defend that move at all. None. And so that makes the rotation worse. It just does. I mean, I think I don't think I'm stepping on a ledge to say that. But the flip side, again, maybe this is just trying to be optimistic, but I don't think it is. I think it's being realistic, is that there's still some pretty good pieces for this rotation. The Reds really could, and we've struggled so much with pitching over the years, they really could still have a good rotation next year. Again, a lot is going to depend on health, and it's going to depend on guys like Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo, coming up to Santa's workshop and make some toys. But if they're healthy, I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens. That's probably number one on my list of things I'm most interested to see in 2022 are those two guys and how they make their debuts. All right. Well, what else do we have? I guess the Reds, they were linked to this guy named Alfred Duno. He is a international prospect. Essentially, there's a projection that the Reds may sign. He's a catcher from Venezuela, may sign him internationally. And I think Fangraphs had him listed as projected to sign with the Reds, and he looks pretty good. But I don't know what to make of Alfred Duno, except that I look at that name and I see, A. Dunn, maybe. A. Duno, A. Dunn, Adam Dunn. I don't know. I'm really reaching there. No, I like where you're going with this. As a catcher, too?
Ooh. So basically what we're saying is Duno is going to be basically Adam Dunn, except he's a catcher. That could be good.
I thought it was a weird news article. I guess that's how these international signings go. The Reds are projected to sign him in 2023. But in the meantime, they're also projected to sign Ricardo Cabrera. No, don't get me wrong. These are reasonably exciting prospects. They're both ranked very highly for whatever that means. So we'll see. But I'm not going to get mad about Reds signing good players.
This is an indication of how little there is to talk about, though, right?
Why do the Reds have so many talented shortstops under the age of 20?
That's a shame. It's a shame that if we get this Duno kid, we might as well just go ahead and trade Tyler Stevenson, because we got our catcher now.
True.
And talented shortstops, Matt McClain. That was the Reds' number one draft pick in 2021. Shortstop out of UCLA, and I guess I don't know. Again, this may be writers trying to find something to write about, but there was a brief mention this week at let's see, it was from Mark Sheldon at Reds.com that he may be on the aforementioned Sean Pender says going to give him a chance to start at Double-A. So that's actually pretty big. Of course, he's a college guy, so he's a little more advanced, but still, you know, you get to Double A, you're just a hair away from the big league. So we can trade Kyle Farmer now. No.
Oh,
Sorry, Kyle. We love you. My VCR doesn't love you, but
we did.
yeah, really. So I don't know. McLean, he's the number 3, the Reds' number 3 prospect by most accounts, and I don't know. Again, we're looking for things to be optimistic about, and there's not much news to talk about, so that's good, especially since Austin Hendricks, the first round pick the previous year, had a kind of a rough go of it in 2021, maybe a step backwards. Still young, so we're not giving up on him, obviously, but that would be good news if the Reds could have hit on a guy that can stick at shortstop potentially.
Yeah, I think there's reason for excitement in the shortstop ranks. Ellie De La Cruz is another young guy. I think they have, 4 of the top 30 prospects are all shortstops in the organization.
Yeah.
I think, hey, we want these elves to come up and make toys.
That's right. The one that I'm the most interested to see is Ellie De La Cruz, but only because I love that name. And, he's evidently got crazy power and just seems like a fun guy to root for. So
great baseball name.
Yeah. Nate, that pretty much exhausts our current day Reds news.
We don't have anything else?
It's mid-December. The players are locked out. There is not that the Reds were going to be doing anything anyway, other than trading guys away maybe. So at least we
don't have negative.
Yeah, that's true. So I did want to mention one thing because, again, I write this newsletter at, you can find it at chaddotson.com. It's a Substack newsletter. It's free. Go subscribe if you want. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you like talking about or reading about the Reds in the off season and other things, actually the most read piece I've written for that newsletter was a Bengals. I keep pronouncing it Bengals because I had this ridiculous accent. How's it Bengals?
I got made fun of this yesterday.
Really?
I said Bengals. They're like, what?
Yeah. Bingles. That's how you pronounce it, right?
We're hill people. Leave us alone.
Exactly. Howdy. No, Houday. How's I'm bad at talking.
I don't pronounce that either.
Yeah. So anyway, this week I wrote about something that because it was the 121st anniversary of an exciting moment in Reds history. I'm just really disappointed that I missed last year, the 120th anniversary of this. It would have been so much better, but it's one of my favorite what if stories in Cincinnati Reds history. And so I'm going to briefly talk about it here. This just for a moment here, if you don't mind, Nate. So we're talking about, it's May 1900. May 1900. First of all, the Reds ballpark catches on fire in May, and they end up playing 10 extra road games because of it. But they're having a bad season, 62-77 record in the 1900 season, and but something happens in the offseason that just really probably affected the future of 2 different teams negatively for the Reds. And it was about this guy named Christy Matthewson. And if you know anything about baseball history, you know who Christy Matthewson is. The Christian gentleman, right? He was 20 years old that year. He's a baseball legend right now. I mean, this guy was at Bucknell University, president of his class, 3-sport star. And at the same time, he's pitching minor league baseball. It was a different time. And so he's pitching in the minor leagues at Norfolk, Virginia. And July of 1900, the Giants, New York Giants at the time, they signed him. Okay, they were terrible. They'd been terrible over the last decade. So they purchase him from Norfolk. Okay, and bring him up to the Giants. He only pitches in 6 games. He's 0-3. His ERA is not great, and they weren't that impressed. So they sent him back to Norfolk, and they demanded their money back. And I guess they got their money back. So he finishes the season. Christy Matthewson finishes the season in Norfolk, finishes with a 21-2 record in the minor leagues. But, he'd kind of flopped on the big league level. And even though he's still 20, it's a different time. And, it's kind of uncertain what was going to happen. So they have the kind of an early version of what we now know as the Rule 5 draft back then. And so the Reds actually, great move by the Reds. They selected Matthewson from Norfolk's roster for $100. Literally, the Reds get Christy Matthewson. I mean, and again, if you don't know who he is, that's not surprising. He played in 1900 till about 1917, I think. But he is an inner circle baseball Hall of Famer, one of the legends of baseball. The Reds got him for $100.
Even Castellini say no to that.
Exactly, right? Well, that's when it gets a little bit Castellini-esque here. John Brush was the Reds owner at that time. And, at the time the Reds picked Christy Matthewson, got him for $100 again, the American League was just getting ready to start. They'd been a minor league and they decided they were going to kind of try to make the leap and challenge the National League as a major league. And so some of these American League clubs are offering big money for the time to National League players, trying to get them to come over to the AL. And so evidently a bidding war kind of breaks out among American League teams trying to get Mathewson to come pitch for them. And the Reds said, wait a minute, this guy's not worth what they're trying to pay him. We're not paying that much. John Brush wasn't willing to pay what he was going to take to hang on to him, to keep him from going to the American League, because who is this guy? And a matter of fact, the Cincinnati Enquirer later reported that the Reds manager at that time, he was a player manager, his name was Bob Allen, just never even gave him a tryout. Just said, listen, Brush, this guy's not in our plans. He's not playing for me this year. Christy Matthewson. So John Brush does what current day Reds do is, oh no, we're going to lose this guy. He's going to walk. Let's trade him before we can lose him. Let's get something for him. And so they traded him, and they traded him back to the Giants. And Christy Matthewson, ends up pitching, 16 years for the Giants after that. But in exchange, they got a guy named Amos Rusi. Amos Rusi is in the Hall of Fame as well. Not elected until 1977 by the Veterans Committee. But Rusi was 29 years old and, had put up Hall of Fame numbers to that point. So sounds okay, right? Sounds fine. Except that he hadn't even pitched in 2 seasons. His arm was hurt. He hadn't even pitched in 2 seasons. The Reds give up Christy Matthewson for him. Rusi ends up pitching 3 games. His last game he gives up, he gives up 14, I think, in 1 game, and gives up, 10 runs in his final game of his career. Never pitches again. Matthewson, goes on to win 300 and how many, 370 some games. I don't even remember. 373 games, 2.13 career ERA. So yeah, the Reds got rid of a future Hall of Famer just because they didn't want to pay him. That sounds kind of familiar.
So what year was that?
1900. You would think it was 2021, but
so the Reds fans have tortured for the better part of 121.
Yeah. There's another little twist to the story, maybe some speculation. Go, we're going to move on to viewer mail here, but go chaddotson.com. You can subscribe to that for free. Get it in your inbox every single week, or not, whatever. I don't care. I'm not trying to be pushy here, Nate.
Bossy you.
That's right. Hey, you want to do some viewer mail?
Hey, we have some good questions this week. This is going to be a fun one.
We did have some good questions. And I'm eager to hear your answer on a couple of these. So this first one, if you're prepared for it, I want to hear what your answer is on the first one here before I answer. Okay. So the first question comes from our friend Calvin Medcalf. First of all, they even have like holidays over in wherever it is you live, somewhere elsewhere, like across the pond somewhere. Calvin's question is this: which holiday film villain is Bob Castellini most like in your opinion? Which holiday film villain is Bob Castellini most like in your opinion? What do you think, Nate?
I thought this one was perfect. I think, there are several good options. I did a little bit of research on this one. There are plenty of solid choices, but it's Walter Hobbs. The guy literally chose to publish 2 blank pages in a book to save the company money. The kids won't even notice. They'll be asleep by then.
Oh, that is funny. See, I didn't go there, and I should have, since we were talking about Elf, but that is perfect. He cheaped out on the children's book because, whatever. They'll take whatever we give them.
They won't know.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's perfect. I was actually down to 2 choices, and I was trying to decide between them. I figured you'd end up taking one of them, and you took neither of them, and you may have the best answer there. My answer as to the best holiday villain, at first I thought, well, which holiday film villain is Bob Castellini most like in your opinion? And I thought, it's got to be the Grinch, right? Surely it's the Grinch. because Castellini just seemed right. But no, I ended up going for Mr. Potter from It's a Wonderful Life.
I thought you would go with Mr. Potter.
Did you think that? Why did you think that?
You're a renowned Jimmy Stewart fan. So.
Well, that's true. Jimmy Stewart, of course, did not play Mr. Potter, but from the movie It's a Wonderful Life. And he's kind of the antagonist of that film, rich, cantankerous, old, we'll call him a miser. And
for everyone.
Yeah, wants to make Reds fans' life miserable. So I don't know, I think you might be right though. Might be Buddy's real dad.
I will say that Phil Castellini is Scott Farkas from Christmas Story, just because it makes
Farkas. Oh man, we're not going to be invited to the Reds company Christmas party this year.
So.
No, I'm going to hang out with Mr. Potter and Scott Farkas. Next question comes from our buddy Joe Farsing. Now, again, these questions all come from our. What's that?
I said, Joe.
Okay. Exactly. These questions, as always, come from our friends at patreon.com/riverfrontcincy, where you too can, join the family and be a part of our discussions and support the podcast at the same time, and also maybe get your question read here on the show. Joe's question is this: what's your favorite Saturday morning cartoon? We know Nate likes Scrappy Doo. Do we know that?
I think that was a throwback to one of my very first appearances on the podcast. So appreciate the memory, and I like to think of myself as the Scrappy Doo of this podcast.
You are the Scrappy Doo of this podcast. Of course, I am the Velma. I don't even know what that means. You got a Saturday morning cartoon for us?
I got two. My go-to, my number one was probably Batman the Animated Series.
Okay.
I just think that was, my generation, the best one. My inner circle answer, though, anybody that knows this is a friend of mine, the Pirates of the Dark Water. You wouldn't know that. It was after your time.
Okay. Thank you for pointing out to everyone that I'm aged.
It was a color cartoon. Actually, colors.
All right.
2 seasons. They canceled before it finished, but random guy finds out he's a prince and has to go and get the I think it's the 12 jewels of rule before the dark water takes over the world.
Did he? We'll never know.
We'll never know.
Well, I've never heard of that one, so I am aged, I guess. I'll tell you, I had 2 as well, and one of those I'll say for your benefit here, Scrappy, was the immortal Scooby-Doo. Where are you? Listen, Scooby-Doo, where are you? If you know, when the Harlem Globetrotters show up, and help them solve a mystery. I mean, nothing's better than that. That's the best entertainment in the history of televised entertainment.
Cartoon? I thought that was a documentary.
Exactly right. I think probably though where I would end up going is for my all-time favorite, probably not Scooby-Doo, but I'm gonna have to go with the Super Friends.
Ooh,
you remember the Super Friends?
I like it. I wouldn't know the Super Friends because of you.
Exactly. Oh, the Super Friends. One of our other brothers and I, big time Super Friends fans, and the best were the Wonder Twins. Wonder Twin powers activate. So anyway, those are good ones. Although, actually, I'm not sure one of yours is very good because I've never heard of it.
Go watch. Challenge.
What was it called again?
Pirates of Dark Water.
I feel like you're making this up to test the audience.
It's so good. Somebody out there is gonna know what I'm talking about.
No, it's completely made up. This is kind of like I accuse our buddy Doug Gray of making up names of minor league players that don't really exist just so people think he's smart. Yeah, that's not it. That's not it, Scrappy.
Rude.
Next question comes from our guy, James Urban. James says, happy holidays. The holiday season brings out memories for me. So my question this week is, what is your favorite Reds memory? I think mine has to be when Todd Frazier won the home run derby at home. It was special. And then he says, P.S. Roll Tide. Sorry, we have to beat the Bearcats in a couple weeks. Now, that's rude. That's rude. I said that on the show now, and I apologize for saying the words Roll Tide. because James he's a Bama guy and has been for a long, long time, evidently, and we're going to forgive him for that. But we're all Bearcats here. I'm sorry, James.
Man, some people's children, you got to raise them better.
Yes, it comes to football this holiday season. I encourage all of you to cheer for the Bearcats. So, but good question, obviously, and one that we talk about every once in a while. I don't think we've talked about it in a while. Favorite all-time Reds memory, Nate? What's your favorite all-time?
For me, I mean, I know that I've talked about it a couple times on here already. The Jay Bruce walk-off 2010. I think a lot of our under 40 listeners would say that. I also want to throw out there probably my number 2 overall, but my first for a while, and it was the 2005 opening day. Adam Dunn hits a 2-run bottom of the 9th home run, brings in him and Austin Kearns to tie it up, and then the legendary, immortal Joe Randa goes back to back to walk it off on opening day. And that was, that was special. That was fun to be a part of. The Reds were garbage. They were expected to be garbage. But that day, you could have swore they were going to go undefeated and win the World Series.
Yeah, that was a fun one. No question. For me, I guess if we're talking about what I've been in the park for, that Jay Bruce home run, obviously, Clinchmas, as we know it, just amazing. The Frazier, as James says, the Todd Frazier home run derby. Oh, man, my kids were little at that time, and they were just blown away. This is the loudest I've ever heard that stadium, But probably, I guess I got to say it, my favorite memory goes back to when I was just a schoolboy back in the late 1900s. 1990, as a matter of fact. And I was obviously we weren't at the World Series in Oakland for Game 4, but sitting in the living room, and actually, when the Reds won the World Series in 1990, that Game 4, that was pretty memorable. But actually, my favorite moment is Game 2, because I was the only one awake in the house still. My parents had even gone to bed. I'm sitting in the living room watching the Reds. Game 2, they're up 1-0. Joe Oliver hits that ball down the left field line, just kind of bounces it down the third base line, and Billy Bates scores. And I'm jumping around trying to be quiet, not waking everyone up in the house. But I'm teenage Chad, if you can imagine that. And I'm telling you, man, that probably was my single favorite moment, and that was more than 3 decades ago.
Oh, goodness, here I was smiling because of this beautiful, heartfelt moment that I'm replaying in my mind. And reality sets in. Thank you for that.
James, thanks for nothing, buddy. Kyle Kapler with, kind of takes a shot at me here, and I don't approve of that, Kyle. I just got to be honest with you. I don't really don't approve. But his question is this: out of these songs, "Let It Snow" by Dean Martin, "Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer" by Elmo and Patsy, and "All I Want for Christmas Is You" by Mariah Carey, what Christmas classic would you pay to watch Joey Votto sing live at Great American Ballpark?
Well, Kyle does take that shot at you. His answer would be D, "Santa Claus Is Coming to Town" by Bruce Springsteen.
You're dead to me, Kyle Kapler.
I will say that I actually love Bruce Springsteen, and I think that might be the second worst Christmas song of all time. It is so bad.
The worst Christmas song of all time? "Glory Days."
You gotta throw that speedball.
Clear answer here has got to be "All I Want for Christmas Is You" by Mariah Carey, right?
That'd be pretty fantastic. I cheated a bit. I went with not "Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer," but "Grandma Got Run Over by a John Deere." Popular twist on classic Christmas song.
That's a real song, I bet, isn't it?
It's out there. You can do the Googling.
Well, I'm not going to do that, but I would like to hear Joey Votto sing a Mariah Carey song at Great American Ballpark.
Does that get you to pay for admission into the ballpark to watch that?
That might be what it takes to get me back to Great American. Yeah,
figured it out. That
might be it. As you all know, because we talk a lot, Nate, and this comes up often, I have another Mariah Carey "All I Want for Christmas Is You" anecdote coming up. But I do that all the time. So we'll save that for just a moment. Next question comes from our buddy Woo the Reds. Woo, the Reds. I wish he would give me his real name. So glad to see you discussing the inner ring Christmas Hall of Fame movie that is Die Hard. How crazy do you have to be to think this isn't a Christmas movie? Wow. You know, Woo, my friend, I love you. But for the first time ever, I'm going to have to disagree with you. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. What say you, Nate?
Die Hard is a movie that is set around the Christmas holiday. That sometime in the not so past, someone decided to start the Die Hard as a Christmas movie movement. And in that time, it's become so underrated that it's now overrated. I'm sorry,
Exactly.
Woo.
Exactly. Here's how. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Love it.
Let me quote Bruce Willis from last year, the year before. Okay, this is a quote from Bruce Willis, of course, the star of Die Hard. Here's an exact quote. Quote, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
There you have it.
That's a literal quote from the Comedy Central roast of Bruce Willis. I know you watched the Comedy Central roast of Bruce Willis, right, Nate?
Yeah, I'm not a giant Bruce Willis fan, so I should have. But
best Bruce Willis movie? Pulp Fiction. He was in Pulp Fiction,
right?
Yeah, it's the best movie he was in. It's not really a Bruce Willis movie, I guess, but. All right, Woo, I'm sorry, man. It's not a Christmas movie, and I will take all the hate we get from that. Joey Gaditza, our buddy from up north, Joey Gaditza says, cheers, guys. Are either of you doing any traveling this holiday season? Also, what's atop your wish list? So I'll let you answer either of those or both, Nate. Are either of you doing any traveling this holiday season? And also, what's atop your wish list?
I'm going to do some traveling down to hang out with you and the parents and a couple other brothers. And then I'm going to turn around and drive to the other end of the state to hang out with the future in-laws. At the top of my wish list is for Santa to show up and pay for this wedding I've got coming up. Yeesh.
Yeah, really. And maybe pay for the room that I got to buy as well. It doesn't mind. So that's my wish list. Now, my wish list is just that the wedding happens and I get to go and enjoy it. Traveling, no traveling for me. I just got back from some traveling, as those of you on the Slack channel know. I took a strange trip that nobody understands except for maybe my brothers, because they know how crazy I am and they share some similarities when it comes to this stuff. But I found a cheap fare and I went down to Guatemala for a few days, Nate. Guatemala. It was amazing.
Can't even spell it.
Yeah, exactly. Hanging out in the Guatemalan jungle with Mayan ruins and howler monkeys. It was an amazing trip. It's an incredible country. I encourage anyone to go. But when I was there, I was looking for, I can't remember what I was looking for. I was looking for some earbuds actually. And so I went into a mall. They have a mall in Guatemala City, big mall. And people think Guatemala, they think, I don't know what people think. I don't think people have the right idea about Guatemala. There's a big mall. I walk in and the first thing it does, there's a huge Christmas tree in front of me and playing is Mariah Carey. All I Want for Christmas Is You. And the whole time I was in there, it was all, in English, all American holiday classics the whole time. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm in Guatemala. It was, it wasn't quite the escape I was looking for. So I ran back out and ran back to the jungle.
They were talking about you specifically.
Exactly. So no traveling because I did that recently, Joe, but good question. All right, a couple more questions here, then we will get out. Next question comes from our friend Rex Scott. Rex Scott, I'm going to continue the lockout-inspired lack of Reds-based questions and ask you guys who you consider to be underrated rock guitarists. For me, the list has to start with Brian May of Queen, who never gets the kudos he deserves. By the way, it goes without saying that my number one underrated bassist is, of course, our own Joey Gaditza. Joey, of course, plays the bass guitar very, very well. So he's our favorite bass guitarist, but, underrated rock guitarists. And, that's a tough question. I don't know if you got anybody that came right to mind for you, Nate.
I did. I don't know if he's underrated for everybody, but he was certainly underrated for me once I found out that, the floodgates open. But Prince, I didn't really listen to any Prince growing up, and I just thought of him sort of like a pop star, really, like this icon, but more for, his voice and his cult of personality than his guitar playing. And then someone made me watch a clip of what was it? I think it was a George Harrison like tribute concert after he passed, and it was Prince playing lead guitar on "While My Guitar Gently Weeps," and it's one of the most impressive single guitar performances I've ever seen in my life. So I remember that day specifically.
The Prince, has a reputation as being kind of a low key genius, but he really was. I mean, he was good at everything. He was good at everything, including playing basketball. If you remember the old Chappelle show, he was really good at
louses.
Yes. For me, I get underrated guitarists. The guy that I'm going to say is if you were to go ask, a bunch of real hardcore rock fans, who are the best guitarists of all time, you're going to hear a bunch of guys. Okay. You're probably not going to hear Rex's guy, Brian May. But I don't know that in 2021, you're going to hear like the OG. And to me, I feel like he's underrated at this point. And I'm talking about Chuck Berry. I mean, Chuck Berry invented it, man. Chuck Berry invented it. And I feel like he's underrated these days. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, am I insane there? But that he's underrated at this point.
I mean, he was in a Back to the Future movie. At least he was referenced. So
yeah, where Michael J. Fox invented Chuck Berry's sound. Yeah, that was historically accurate. I'll give a current day guy that I feel like's underrated. I don't know if he is or not because I don't know. Maybe I'm not up on the rock. The kids these days, they love the rock and roll music. Actually, they don't. But I like this guy. If y'all have heard him, and if you like rock, I'm sure you have. But Derek Trucks. Derek Trucks is like unbelievable. You know Derek Trucks, Nate?
Yeah, a little bit familiar.
Yeah, go listen to the Tedeschi Trucks band, man. They are amazing. It's he and his wife, and they're just fantastic. So that's my answer to that. All right, next question comes from our friend Hooper Powell. Hooper Powell. Once again, I've stumbled on a dilemma. What's a better movie, Fred Claus or The Santa Claus with Tim Allen? And then he says, Reds related, name a player in recent memory who you wish had a better career. So we'll try to quickly get through these.
First off, I can't believe this was a question. It's the Santa Claus. Fred Claus, fine. Twice.
What? That's the craziest thing anyone said on this podcast since Bill Lack last week tried to defend the owners in this debate. That's complete insanity.
No way. The Santa Claus is a classic.
Well, it may be a classic, but is Vince Vaughn in the Santa Claus?
That's a fair point.
Okay. Let me preface my comment. Here's the reason why I think Fred Claus is the superior film. I've never actually seen the Santa Claus.
Okay.
But Fred Claus had Vince Vaughn. And playing Santa was Paul Giamatti. Are you kidding me? Amazing.
You know who plays Santa in the Santa Claus? Tim Allen.
Oh,
Scott Calvin, who becomes Santa. Come on. Spoiler alert.
Wait a minute. I thought he was Buzz Lightyear.
Oh shit. Different guy. Buzz Lightyear plays Santa Claus. And
there we go. So the answer is I don't know, whoever you like. A player in recent memory who you wish had a better career. A player in recent memory who you wish you had a better career. It depends on what you mean by recent memory. But for me, that's Austin Kearns. To me, that's the guy that should have been a superstar, was a superstar until some fat Cardinals pitcher sat on him at home plate. That's the guy that immediately came to mind for me. Nate, did you have any?
That was also my answer. Surprised we had the same one there. I thought you could have gone a little bit further back, but no, Austin Kearns was the only person I thought of. Him and Dunner were kind of coming up at the same time. They're playing coming up through the minors, and it seemed like we were going to have that two-headed monster for a long time. And I'll take the Dunner years over anything. But man, we had a chance there, and it stinks we didn't get to see more.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely. The other guy I would say would probably be a Kyle Farmer.
I wish he had a better career. That's true. That's accurate.
Exactly. And I wish he would keep his cookies out of my VCR. Oh boy, that's not going to get tiresome after the 20th straight week of us referring to it. Won't get tiresome at all. All right, last question comes from our friend Elliot Davis. Again, these questions come from our friends at patreon.com/riverfrontcincy. Elliot Davis says, in honor of Luis Alberto Bonilla, who are your guys' top 5 favorite names in Reds history? He says a smaller list is totally fine if the pod is running long. Thanks, Elliot. Appreciate you. You understand how this works. And go Reds. So top 5 favorite names in Reds history. Let's just see if we can come up with 5. Nate, you got one off the top of your head?
I'm going to go with it barely counts, only 45 games for the Reds in 2006, but Quentin McCracken.
Oh, Quentin McCracken. That's a good one. I'm going to go with a Red from 1929 and 1930. Really short tenure with the Reds. Johnny Gooch.
Oh, the Gooch.
You love the Gooch, right? He's your favorite player. The Gooch.
Pretty good.
Who you got next?
I'm going to go with I got 1910, Wingo Anderson.
Oh, the immortal.
And the Googles tell me that was his real name. It's not a nickname. That was a birth certificate name, Wingo.
Really?
His parents must have been excited.
What about this guy from 1949 and 1950 with the Reds? Peanuts Lowry. Peanuts Lowry. That's pretty good.
That's very good.
Yeah. I'll give you one more, and I'll take one more, and then we'll end this one. So give me the best one you got left.
The risk of taking this from a PG to a PG-13 podcast, I'm going to go former Reds pitching coach Dick Pole.
Oh man, you didn't go with the Dick Pole. Yikes. Well, I we really do need to end this podcast on this note, because I'm going to kind of give you Dick Pole. I don't know if you knew this, but it was his great grandfather on his mother's side actually played for the Reds as well back in 1930. Doug McWeeny. It was Doug McWeeny.
And we nailed it.
And we're out. Nate, anything? Can we top that, or we just need to end it right here?
No, I don't think there's ever been a better time to end the podcast.
All right. So thanks everyone for listening to the Riverfront or watching the Riverfront on the YouTubes. We are, you're going to be here every week. You can please subscribe, smash that subscribe button, smash the thumbs up button on YouTube. Go subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're at Riverfront Cincy everywhere. And so you can go and subscribe and catch every new episode as they're released. Also, you can listen to us by audio the same way you always have, right? Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere you get your podcasts. We're always there. We're still going to remain there. Well, I can't think of really anything else we need to say, Nate. Any final thoughts?
Thank you to everyone in the Riverfront Nation for having an affinity for elf culture. My God.
Exactly. For Nate Dotson, the Wonder Twins, and Doug McWeeny, this is Chad Dotson saying, so long, everyone.